The world changed after the 21st century. A virus nearly erased humanity by destroying eyesight. From more than 8 billion people, fewer than 2 million survived. Generations later, vision is treated as myth. Speaking of it invites charges of heresy. A remote village shelters the Alkini tribe. Magra, one of the villagers, goes into labor. She asks Paris to call her husband, Baba Voss, but warning signals cut through the air. A witch hunter army is closing in. Baba, the tribe's leader, leaves to organize the defense. The Alkini prepare to fight without sight. They use smell and touch to track movement, and sharpened hearing to count enemy soldiers and sense intent. Inspired by Baba, the warriors perform a ritual dance, then charge. A world once defined by sight now survives in darkness. This is C. Inside the village, Magra struggles to give birth. Paris tells her the attackers seek Gerlameril, the child's biological father. Before marrying Baba, Magra conceived during a brief time with Gerlameril. The enemy commander, Tamakti, leads the witch hunters on Queen Kane's orders. She wants Gerlameril because he still has vision, an unforgivable trait. Tamakti gains his location from Gether Bex, a traitor within the Alkini. Bex reveals that Magra arrived 3 months pregnant and that Baba took her in, marrying her and accepting the unborn child as his own.
A devil who murdered the queen's own sister.
Magra finally delivers her baby, the cry bringing her a rush of relief and proof the child is alive. Not far away, Baba and his warriors brace for the witch hunter's assault. When he hears the enemy at the wall, he signals his fighters to strike. The attackers press hard, climbing higher and forcing the defenders back. Under pressure, Baba cuts the ropes holding heavy stones. The rocks crash down and slow the attackers. He senses this is only part of the invading force and suspects more troops wait at the village border. He orders a retreat. His concern proves right. Tamakti and his soldiers have already moved to block the only path in and out of the village. Deep ravines surround the settlement, leaving no other exit. Inside the village, Magra delivers a child, then realizes another remains. She gives birth to twins, a boy and a girl, and whispers the name of their biological father, Gerlameril, into their ears as tradition requires. Baba returns to the news with relief and pride. He promises to protect the twins as his own. Some villagers object, afraid the witch hunters seek Magra and the babies. They demand that Baba surrender them to save the village. Baba refuses and stands ready to fight. His closest allies step forward in support. Tension rises until Paris intervenes. She urges them to leave rather than fight. She knows of a hidden path that Gerlameril prepared for emergencies. The tribe gathers supplies and follows her lead. Guided by bells that Gerlameril set as markers, Baba leads his family and followers toward a bridge. The witch hunters reach the empty village and hear a distant baby's cry from the ravine. Convinced it is Magra's child, Tamakti orders his men to pursue. At the bridge, Tamakti sends Bex ahead to test the crossing. Baba reaches the far end and prepares to cut the ropes. Bex begs for mercy, unaware that Baba does not yet know of his betrayal. Baba pulls Bex to safety before cutting the ropes and collapsing the bridge.
Message for the queen.
Tamakti sends a carrier bird to Queen Kane at the Kanzua Dam Palace to report the escape. She instructs him to capture Gerlameril and the twins. Far from the pursuit, Paris explains that Gerlameril built the bridge and believes humans once had sight. His abilities suggest the claim might hold truth. Following his instructions, the group continues through the wilderness until they reach a wide stretch of land with livestock. There they settle. Paris reminds Baba of his duty to protect the tribe's refuge. To secure their future, Baba erases every trace of their path so no one can follow. Early the next morning, Baba takes his children into the forest to collect wood for building a house and to search for food. As he moves through the trees, a bear suddenly appears and forces him to hide behind thick roots. With his children behind him, Baba throws a piece of wood to distract the animal. He draws his knife and attacks to protect them. The fight stops when an arrow strikes the bear's neck. The archer is Gerlamerl. He tells Baba the children are safer here because he lives as a fugitive and only came to confirm the group reached the place he prepared. He adds that he has killed the nearby bears so the tribe can live without fear. He gives Baba a key and directs him to a small cave near a waterfall. Inside is a settlement he built for the children. A box there holds knowledge meant for them when they turn 12. He asks Baba to name them Hanawa and Kofan. Nearby, Bex overhears and runs to tell his aunt Sothar. He urges her to help him with a plan, reminding her that Baba and Paris once killed her sister, who was his mother, after she defied tribal rules. Sothar resists, but Bex keeps pressing. Baba returns to Magra and shares the meeting with Gerlamerl. He tells her the names of their children and the location of the box, then sets out to find it. In the forest, Bex convinces Sothar to visit Bao Lion, a tribe member with a shadow ability that hides her from detection. He asks Bao to spy on Paris, believing Paris is a witch. Baba, Paris, and Magra reach the cave and open the box while Bao listens in secret. Inside they find a toy and several books. Baba and Magra do not know their purpose. Paris explains that books store the knowledge of ancestors. Her grandmother once owned one before witch hunters destroyed it. She is amazed that Gerlamerl preserved these items. Paris wants the books saved for Hanawa and Kofan so they can learn and help humanity when they grow older. Magra disagrees and asks Baba to bury them to keep the children free from such responsibility. Bao reports to Bex but keeps some details hidden. Bex writes a message on a cord, ties it to a bottle, and sends it down the river each day, hoping it reaches someone. Baba, already wary of Bex, warns him to stop and reminds him that he enforces the law, while Tamakti continues punishing people who know nothing about Gerlamerl.
This beast.
At the same time in the palace, a servant tells Queen Cain that Tamakti has failed to find Gerlamerl and claims he is discouraged and ready to return home with his soldiers. The servant lies because Queen Cain has ignored her people during her search for Gerlamerl. Suspicious of the report, she presses him for the truth. He admits that Lord Karn and Lady Z ordered the deception. Even after confessing, the servant is executed.
Choke on your own lives.
Queen Cain then punishes Lord Karn and Lady Z, electrocuting them without hearing their defense.
Old friends, go.
3 years pass. Hanawa and Kofan grow into strong children. Magra confides in Paris that they locate objects too easily, as if they can see. She remembers Gerlamerl's words about a new world and decides to hide the truth until the twins turn 12. She fears discovery by Bex and Sothar, who already suspect witchcraft. Vision remains a crime. As the years move on, Tamakti continues to hunt the Alkini. He questions every village he enters and kills anyone who denies knowledge of their location. Near the twins' 12th birthday, Paris visits Magra to ask about the books buried 9 years earlier. She believes the time has come for the children to learn the truth. Magra refuses, repeating the agreement she made with Baba to keep the books hidden. She fears that revealing the children's sight will bring death. Paris is shocked by the refusal and worries that Gerlamerl's wishes are being ignored. That night, Paris secretly meets Hanawa and Kofan to wish them a happy birthday. She gives them the books and tells them about their true father, Gerlamerl. Kofan struggles with the revelation and runs off. Paris urges Hanawa to follow. Hanawa explains what she has learned. Long ago humans had sight and advanced knowledge, building machines that reached beyond Earth. Their misuse of power led to war and destruction, and God removed their vision as punishment. Now sight is returning to a chosen few who will reshape the world. Gerlamerl waits for them to help create this new era. Outside, Baba overhears everything. He confronts Paris about giving the books without his consent. She explains that she acted on Gerlamerl's request and reminds Baba that Gerlamerl once saved the tribe from the witch hunters and from the bear attack. She insists that silence is not the same as a lie. Hanawa and Kofan visit the waterfall each day, studying the books Gerlamerl left and following his guidance. Downstream, a bottle released by Bex drifts with the current until it is found by an unknown traveler. At the palace, Tamakti finally returns empty-handed. After 20 summers of searching every region, he admits failure. He apologizes and asks to die by his own hand, believing suicide is more honorable for a warrior than execution for failure. Queen Cain, respecting his decades of service, grants the request. Far away, Baba hunts with Haniwa for the evening meal. Haniwa shows a bow and arrow she built after reading Jerlameryl's books. She also describes weapons in the texts, including bombs strong enough to destroy a city. When they return, the village is in turmoil. Sothar has given birth to a deformed child. Some villagers accuse Paris and Baba of cursing the baby. The elder called Mama explains that the child is the result of incest between Sothar and her nephew Bex. To prevent more inbreeding, Mama urges the tribe to attend a festival outside the settlement to meet outsiders. Baba warns of dangers beyond their borders, but listens as Mama points out that secret visits would be riskier and could expose their home. Out of concern for his people, Baba agrees to accompany them for protection. Back at the palace, a servant arrives with the bottle containing Bex's message. After reading the note and learning Jerlameryl is alive near a waterfall sanctuary, Queen Cain halts Tamakti's planned suicide and assigns him a new mission. Meanwhile, Haniwa asks to join the festival. Magra and Baba refuse, saying she is too young and safer at home. Frustrated, Haniwa insists she wants only to enjoy the event and will not choose a blind mate. Her words anger her parents. Baba warns her not to believe she is superior because she can see and tells her to put away Jerlameryl's books if they lead to arrogance. Soon Baba leads the villagers to the festival. Haniwa and Kofan secretly follow, certain they will remain unnoticed. Magra, with sharp hearing, detects faint sounds behind them despite the wind. The group reaches the festival where music, trade, and matchmaking fill the night. Haniwa and Kofan are shocked to see a brutal execution of people accused of witchcraft on mere rumor. The violence makes Kofan sick and he steps aside to vomit. Still shaken, he wanders into a quiet area without noticing he is being watched. A group seizes him and carries him off before Haniwa can hear his cries. At dawn, Haniwa wakes to a woman's voice calling for her missing child. The woman fears slave hunters have taken the girl. Alarmed and now worried for Kofan, Haniwa alerts her parents. The fear proves real. Kofan and several other children, including the missing girl named Fethin, have been captured by slave hunters. Baba, Magra, and Paris tell the villagers to return home while they set out to rescue Kofan. Guided by Haniwa's sight, they track the hunters through the forest. Along the trail, Haniwa finds a written message from Kofan. Magra realizes the twins can read and write, proof they studied the hidden books in secret. She suppresses her anger and focuses on the rescue. Inside an abandoned factory, the hunters guard their captives. Baba recognizes the place from his own family's dark past as slave hunters. Determined to protect his children, he insists on fighting alone, not wanting his family to witness the violence. Haniwa offers her bow, but Baba refuses. Moving silently, Baba kills the outside guards and signals Kofan to close his eyes. He enters the factory, dodges attacks, and defeats every enemy. When another hunter moves in from behind, Haniwa intervenes from a distance and shoots him with an arrow. They free Kofan and return to Magra, who has been waiting in tense silence. She cannot hide her hurt that the twins kept their reading a secret. Back home, Kofan and Haniwa apologize. Kofan explains that their study of the books and their actions at the festival were never meant as betrayal. Haniwa adds that she once thought about leaving to hunt evil men like the slave hunters, but will not abandon her parents. She says she still needs their guidance and discipline. Moved by their honesty, Magra decides to tell them about Jerlameryl and asks Baba to bring Paris. As Baba steps outside to find her, the distant sound of dogs cuts through the night. He recognizes the hounds of witch hunter soldiers. The family prepares to flee. Magra grabs her father's heirloom before leaving. Meanwhile, Bex rouses the villagers, urging them to surrender Baba and his family in exchange for safety, as Tamakti has promised. Kofan attacks Bex and takes him hostage, forcing the crowd to clear a path. Bao emerges from the shadows and joins them on the way to the river. Kofan spares Bex, knocking him unconscious before they continue their escape. Soon after, Tamakti reaches the village and demands the location of Jerlameryl's children. The terrified villagers stay silent, knowing the family has already fled. When no one answers, he executes Mama without hesitation.
The witches are gone.
Bex, regaining consciousness, steps forward and reveals that Baba and his group are heading toward the river, urging Tamakti to follow. Baba has planned for this moment. A raft he built earlier waits for escape. He, Magra, Hanawa, Kofan, Paris, Bao, and 2 loyal followers, Arka and Matel, push off and move downstream. Soon Tamakti's soldiers arrive at the river and begin to surround them. Kofan silently signals his father. They all stay quiet, hoping the blind troops will pass without noticing. Tamakti orders a search of the water, forcing Baba to strike first. Baba steps off the raft and attacks, but his movement alerts the soldiers. The raft is quickly encircled. Hanawa and Kofan fight off enemies climbing aboard while Baba kills those within reach. The clash turns deadly. Magra is stabbed in the leg. Arka and Matel fall in the fight. Furious, Hanawa shoots an arrow at Bex, blaming him for betraying them. Wounded, Bex begs Tamakti for help. Tamakti, seeing no further use for him, kills Bex and orders his soldiers to slaughter the remaining Alkini villagers.
Message for Queen Kane. The witches have escaped.
News of Tamakti's failure reaches Queen Kane. Her council advises recalling the troops, reminding her that the soldiers have families. She refuses and demands more forces to reinforce Tamakti. Her decision fuels resentment and raises doubts about her rule. People whisper that she acts from ego and a lingering desire for Gerlameril. Gerlameril was once her subordinate and lover. She dreams of a child with sight, believing such an heir would be the perfect ruler. After he left, her longing hardened into obsession. Meanwhile, Baba and his family drift downstream unsure of their next move. Paris produces a letter from Gerlameril that only Hanawa and Kofan can read. The message instructs them to follow the river to the Lavender Garden, where he has built an enlightenment council and will meet them. A symbol on the back calls all who can see to join him. Magra refuses to expose her children to more danger and wants them hidden from the witch hunters. Hanawa and Kofan believe meeting Gerlameril offers hope for change and refuse to live in fear. Paris calls for a vote to settle the decision. Magra and Baba choose to find a new home, while Paris, Hanawa, Kofan, and Bao decide to follow Gerlameril. The majority prevails, and the group continues down the river toward the Lavender Garden. Meanwhile in the palace, council members led by Lady Anne and Lord Dune plot to kill Queen Kane, believing her rule brings only suffering and that assassination is the only solution. Nairi, the Queen's guard with a shadow ability, overhears their plan and reports it. When Lady Anne and Lord Dune invite Queen Kane to a planting ceremony, she is ready. Lady Anne offers a caged bird that hides a poisonous spider, but the Queen acts first and has her soldiers kill the conspirators.
And I'm not afraid. This whole rotten city wanted me to die. Well, I've decided I won't die for this city. You can go first.
Far away, night falls as Baba's group stops to rest. Magra's injured leg needs attention. They do not know someone is watching. By morning, their weapons and supplies are gone. Magra panics over the loss of a family heirloom. Baba asks why it matters, but she refuses to explain. From the trees, Kofan spots a shadowy figure and realizes the thief is near. Back at the palace, protests erupt. The people have learned of the Queen's murders and demand her removal. Under pressure, Queen Kane shuts down the dam's machinery. The water builds until the structure cracks. Floods sweep through the palace and nearby settlements. Furious survivors curse the Queen's selfish act. She escapes with her guard Nairi. Meanwhile, Paris grows uneasy about Magra's secret. She recalls Gerlameril's warning to watch Magra closely and worries that the heirloom now drives her to take risks. Magra insists she remains loyal to her family. Baba, Hanawa, and Kofan track the thief to a site cluttered with stolen goods. Baba recognizes signs of the Opayal tribe, scavengers who work at night and sleep by day. He hopes they are asleep so they can recover their belongings. Hanawa volunteers to retrieve the heirloom alone. Baba refuses, fearing a trap, but she slips inside. The interior is a maze of junk rigged with traps for the blind. Her sight lets her move safely. She finds their weapons and her mother's heirloom intact, unaware she is being watched. A sudden scream echoes outside. Baba and Kofan rush in and find Hanawa unconscious. The Opayal tribe surrounds them. A fight breaks out. During the struggle, Baba notices a symbol on one attacker's chest that matches the mark on Gerlameryl's letter, proof the thief is a sighted descendant of Gerlameryl. Elsewhere, after a long escape, Queen Kane searches for her servant and finds the body left by strangers. Soon after, Nairi disappears, leaving the queen alone and afraid. Before she can react, two people with the shadow ability approach and overpower her. They spare her life and take her captive. Far from the palace, Baba's group recovers their stolen possessions. Magra is relieved to hold her heirloom again. Tension rises when Paris learns they brought the thief with them. Hanua explains that the man is Boots, a descendant of Gerlameryl. Years earlier, Gerlameryl stayed with the Opayal tribe for a year. A woman there gave birth to Boots before Gerlameryl left to form the Enlightenment Council for his own children. When witch hunters attacked, the tribe fled and abandoned Boots. Feeling sympathy for her half-brother, Hanua asks the others to let him join their journey. His sight would help them reach Gerlameryl. Paris and Magra hesitate, reminding everyone that Boots is still a thief. Boots pledges loyalty and shows respect to Baba, but trust remains slow to build. Hanua tells him their caution is natural and that time will earn their acceptance. Meanwhile, Queen Kane is taken to a silk-making workshop ruled by an older man named Timothy. He kidnaps people and forces them to weave silk for trade with nobles. Intrigued by the softness of her hands, Timothy believes she will be a skilled worker. He does not realize the captive is the former ruler of Kanzua, and he treats her as he would any other laborer. Elsewhere, Baba's group prepares to continue down the river. The water level drops and the raft becomes stuck. Kofan spots witch hunter soldiers approaching. Baba leads everyone into the forest, but the soldiers quickly surround them. Paris and Magra hide among tree roots while Baba, Hanua, and Kofan fight back. With three-sided fighters, they cut through the attackers. In the chaos, Paris realizes Magra is missing and calls out to Baba. Magra walks to the riverbank to meet Tamakti, carrying her father's heirloom. She rings a bell that once belonged to Queen Kane's father, revealing she is Kane's sister and a princess long thought dead. Tamakti halts, stunned by the truth. Back at the camp, Baba discovers Magra is missing and cuts down soldiers in fury. Boots appears and claims he saw her approach Tamakti to beg for mercy, adding that Tamakti beheaded her. No one yet knows why Boots lies. Hanua wants to stay and fight, but Baba orders the group to escape before they are all killed. At the same time, Tamakti is shocked to learn Magra is alive. She offers to explain her survival only if he finds her family first. Tamakti sends his soldiers to capture Baba's group without harming them. Boots leads Baba and the others to a supposed hiding place, saying he used it as a secret refuge when he was young. They follow without suspicion. The path ends in a dead-end passage that proves to be a trap. Boots admits he does not know whom to trust and leaves them there. Inside the dark chamber, Kofan blames Hanua for insisting that Boots travel with them. He accuses her of stubbornness and of always expecting her way. Hanua cries, regretting her choice. Moments later, the floor shifts, revealing a hidden lift that carries them into an underground chamber. With no light, Hanua burns Gerlameryl's letter for a torch while Baba guides them by sound and touch. Elsewhere, Queen Kane works under guard in the silk factory. Unused to labor, she performs the tasks carelessly. A supervisor notices and warns her, but she ignores him and provokes punishment. Her arrogance stretches back to youth. When her father, the king of Kanzua, lay dying, she cared less about his health than about inheriting the throne. She even promised to protect her younger sister Magra. Her hopes collapsed when their father whispered that Magra should one day rule. Because Magra was too young, no one accepted the choice, and the crown passed to Kane. This past explains little to Tamakti, who later wonders why Queen Kane spread the lie that Gerlameryl killed Magra and sent troops to hunt him. In truth, Gerlameryl was Magra's fiancé. They left the palace together after she failed to claim the throne. Kane ordered Gerlameryl's capture because she loved him and could not bear to lose him. Even after hearing the truth, Tamakti remains unmoved. He reminds Magra that Queen Kane still rules Kanzua and asks where Gerlameryl is. Magra says she does not know and only wants her family safe. Meanwhile, Baba's group moves through the cavern and reaches a chamber lit by clusters of glowing insects. There they meet a woman named Delia, who quickly recognizes them as outsiders. They explain that a young man deceived and trapped them, and Delia invites them to stay. Soon a group attacks using a fungal plant that causes numbness and unconsciousness. When they wake, they are imprisoned in another chamber. Meanwhile, Queen Kane regains consciousness in a room with a woman named Cora. They share their histories. Cora tells of a violent father and of killing him at age 9. She survives by remaining silent and enduring Timothy's cruelty. Queen Kane describes a life of isolation and neglect. After their long talk, Kane begins planning an uprising and questions Cora about the factory. Cora warns that Timothy commands several people with a shadow ability. Trusting her, Queen Kane reveals her identity as a queen and expects loyalty from Cora and the other workers. Later, Cora informs Timothy of Queen Kane's true identity. Back in the cavern, Paris wakes in the night and quietly approaches Baba. She weeps, blaming herself for losing Magra's hand while they hid the day before. She regrets voting to seek Jerlameril, believing that choice led to their troubles. Baba comforts her, unaware that Hanawa overhears. At dawn, Timothy decides to demand ransom from the witch hunters. Knowing the Payan royal family implants an amulet under the heir's skin, he cuts into Queen Kane's chest and removes it to prove he holds the queen. Elsewhere, Baba's family grows suspicious of Delia, fearing she might harm them. Baba restrains her until she explains the cave's purpose as a permanent refuge where no one may leave. She reveals that she once lived outside before being trapped by her own son, Boots. From birth, Boots suffered abuse from the Opayal tribe because he could see. He eventually murdered the tribe in their sleep, sparing only his mother. His story about fleeing witch hunters was a lie. Because Baba's family entered the cave because of her son, Delia feels responsible and offers to help them escape. She asks only that Baba capture or kill Boots to stop him from harming others. Feeling guilt, Hanawa agrees. Delia leads them to a lift that rises to the surface. Someone must hold the lever to keep it moving. Baba orders his family to ride first while he stays to control it. Delia remains behind to block any attackers. The noise draws cave dwellers, forcing Baba to fight as the lift ascends. Above ground, Hanawa and Kofan struggle to lower the lift for Baba, but it jams and breaks, sending the platform crashing down. Baba dodges the fall, climbs the shaft by hand, and escapes with their guidance. Soon after, Tamakti brings Boots to Magra. She immediately asks about her family, and Boots claims they were separated during a clash with the witch hunters. He adds that he saw the soldiers salute Magra, proof to him that she holds power, and promises loyalty if she treats him fairly. Soon a message arrives from Timothy, demanding ransom for Queen Kane's release. Magra suspects a trap and advises against paying. Tamakti chooses to consult his generals before deciding. Boots then speaks up, claiming he can identify Timothy's messenger. He explains that the agent is a shadow, invisible to normal senses, and offers to help capture the spy. Hoping to gain Magra's trust, he guides the soldiers to two of Timothy's agents. One is killed and the other interrogated, revealing key details. Afterward, Tamakti thanks Boots but states that as a witch hunter he must kill anyone with sight. Magra forbids it, and Tamakti obeys the command of the king's daughter. Magra at first refuses to join the rescue of Queen Kane, still worried about her missing family. Tamakti reminds her that as heir to the throne she must know the queen's fate. He leaves part of his forces to continue searching for Baba and the children, while leading the rest toward Timothy's location. Meanwhile, Baba's group presses on toward Jerlameril's sanctuary. They eventually reach a field of lavender, matching the description in Jerlameril's letter. On the road, Magra asks Tamakti how Queen Kane could be captured if the palace was guarded. Tamakti admits he was away and cannot explain what happened. Queen Kane remains a prisoner. Her wrists and ankles are bound, and a bell is tied to her wrist so guards can hear any attempt to escape. She rings it on purpose, provoking more beatings and mocking her captors. Elsewhere, night falls as Baba's group rests in an abandoned building. While collecting firewood, Kofan apologizes to Hanawa for his harsh words in the cave. He warns her not to place too much hope in Jerlameril, pointing out that a father who abandons his children for ambition cannot be trusted. He notes that Magra never expected anything from Jerlameril despite once being his wife. Hanawa wonders why her mother feels that way. Later that night, Baba and Paris hear distant human screams and realize they have entered the Badlands, a lawless region filled with violence. At dawn, the group moves on and soon notices a foul, choking smell that makes Paris vomit. They follow the stench to human corpses hanging from wooden poles, one marked with a message claiming a new world and a new god await, urging travelers to enter and judge for themselves. Kofan wants to turn back, convinced that anyone who leaves such a display is dangerous. Paris suggests the scene might serve as a warning to keep witch hunters away. Baba reminds them that they have come too far and many lives, including Magra's, have been lost to reach this point. He insists they cannot waste those sacrifices. Elsewhere, Boots scouts Timothy's compound and notes the guards, their positions, and the location of Queen Kane. His information allows Tamakti to kill the guards silently and reach the queen quickly. Timothy moves to fight but is stopped by Cora and then finished by Queen Kane. Cora had revealed the queen's identity on purpose, so Timothy would expose her location while demanding a ransom. After the rescue, Tamakti brings Queen Kane to meet Magra without revealing their relationship. He introduces her only as a healer, but when they clasp hands, Queen Kane recognizes her sister. Magra is shaken by her sister's condition and prepares to leave. Before she departs, Queen Kane explains that her own people despised her and that the palace council plotted to kill her. To stop them, she destroyed the Kanzua Dam, killing many and flooding the settlements below. Tamakti is stunned, knowing the soldiers who served him only wished to return to their families. Meanwhile, Baba's group reaches a narrow path between two cliffs. Baba senses danger ahead, and Paris feels it too, though Hanawa and Kofan see nothing. To test his instinct, Baba throws a stone forward. Arrows immediately strike where it lands. Realizing the archers are using sound to target them, Baba asks Kofan to point out their positions. Guided by Kofan's sight, Baba hurls a weapon and knocks down the nearest archer. Hanawa moves to retrieve the arrow and her father's weapon, but Bao stops her and offers to go instead. Confident in her shadow ability, Bao moves without sound. She recovers Baba's weapon, but an arrow slips from her bowstring and alerts the enemy. Another arrow pierces her leg. Hanawa rushes to help, causing Kofan to shout her name. Hearing Hanawa's name, the archers halt. They reveal themselves as followers of Jerlameril and announce that Hanawa and Kofan are the ones they have awaited at the House of Enlightenment. According to their rules, only the twins may enter. Even the injured Bao is denied entry. Kofan hesitates, but Hanawa insists on meeting Jerlameril. Baba reminds them of the live sacrifice to reach this place and warns that turning back would dishonor those sacrifices. Kofan embraces his father, assuring him that he will always see Baba as his true parent. After a final farewell, Baba carries the wounded Bao while Paris reminds Hanawa and Kofan to use their sight wisely and never feel superior, since people without sight have cared for them since birth. Not far away, Baba stays near the House of Enlightenment, unwilling to leave while his children remain inside. With Magra gone, he feels he has no other home and chooses to watch over them from a distance. Inside, Hanawa and Kofan are led into a dark chamber. Lights flick on, and Jerlameril appears to greet them. He brings them into the House of Enlightenment, explaining that it was once an abandoned prison that he rebuilt and powered with a generator to restore electricity. Jerlameril introduces more of his children, revealing that Hanawa, Kofan, and Boots are not his only offspring. Many others share their gift of sight. His eldest son, Alaman, helps maintain the compound and oversee its systems. After dinner, Jerlameril shows Hanawa and Kofan their rooms. The generator also heats water, allowing them to bathe in comfort. Later, Kofan visits Hanawa because he is not used to sleeping alone. They both admit they miss Baba. At dawn, Tamakti, still angry about Queen Kane's actions, asks Boots to keep watch on Korra to prevent any hidden schemes. Boots now enjoys Magra's trust, making him the right choice for the task. Tamakti then meets Magra to share his concerns. He warns that the soldiers may revolt if they learn the truth about Queen Kane. He urges Magra to claim the throne and remove her sister, saying it is the only way to end the unrest. If she refuses, he will act himself. Magra knows Queen Kane will never step down willingly and agrees to speak with her first. Korra later tries to influence Boots, arguing that loyalty to a queen offers greater advantage than loyalty to a princess. Magra visits Queen Kane and delivers Tamakti's proposal. As expected, Queen Kane rejects it, forcing Magra to warn her to reconsider. Meanwhile, Jerlameril leads Hanawa and Kofan to a library filled with books gathered over 10 years. He explains that he searched the world for others with sight and when he found none, chose to have children across many regions to create a new generation who could see. His plan succeeded. Kofan remembers his mother and feels the loss keenly. Jerlameril shows little sympathy and insists the twins focus on their mission to change the world, deepening Kofan's dislike of him. Jerlameril takes them to the coal plant that powers the generator and explains his plan to build a city of electricity for people who can see. Kofan objects, saying such power is useless to the blind, but Jerlameril dismisses the concern, insisting the new world will belong to those with sight. Elsewhere, Baba travels to the Palia tribe and asks the chief to bring a healer for Bao's injuries. Paris requests a place to stay, but when the chief learns they are fugitives wanted by the witch hunters, he refuses shelter. Baba accepts the decision and asks only that Bao remain for treatment, and the chief agrees. At the House of Enlightenment, Kofan sees Jerlameril meeting a Tripantian colonel to negotiate the release of prisoners. The colonel demands both Hanawa and Kofan. Jerlameril agrees to hand over Hanawa while trying to protect his son. Kofan hears everything. As he leaves, Alaman strikes him unconscious. While Kofan lies in a cell, Hanawa is abducted. Kofan wakes to see Hanawa being taken away. Outside, Alaman tells Jerlameril that Kofan overheard the deal. Jerlameril orders Kofan move to the back room. Elsewhere, Magra tells Tamakti she failed to persuade Queen Kane to surrender the throne. Tamakti prepares to kill the queen, but before he can act, Queen Kane unexpectedly announces that she will abdicate and even signs a formal declaration. Boots then attacks from behind, stopping Tamakti. Korra's influence has worked. Boots now sides with Queen Kane and kills Tamakti. Magra watches in shock. Queen Kane claims that Tamakti would have killed them both and says palace tradition requires the death of any soldier who fails to protect the monarch. She asks Magra to tell the troops that Tamakti took his own life in shame so they can take command together. Back at the House of Enlightenment, Jirlamerel visits Kofan and admits he made a deal with the Tripanchans to keep the compound safe from Queen Kane's soldiers. Kofan, furious that Hanua was sacrificed, attacks him. Enraged, Jirlamerel orders his men to execute Kofan. As guards lead Kofan to the execution room, Baba suddenly appears and kills them. Father and son reunite, and Kofan quickly explains that Hanua has been taken. They separate to search the compound. Baba heads for the library to confront Jirlamerel while Kofan looks elsewhere. In the library, Baba unleashes his anger, accusing Jirlamerel of betraying the children he considers his own. Jirlamerel insists he made a deal with a Tripanchan general named Edo Vas. The name shocks Baba, who realizes that Hanua is in grave danger because Edo is his own brother. Baba attacks and the two fight with weapons. Jirlamerel uses his sight and a firearm to gain the upper hand, stabbing Baba during the struggle. Refusing to yield, Baba follows the sounds of his opponent and continues the fight. Kofan reaches the generator control room and shuts down the power, plunging the building into darkness. With sight no longer an advantage, Jirlamerel falters and Baba, guided by instinct and sharp hearing, gains control of the fight. Inside, Alaman senses trouble and arms himself to investigate, but Kofan ambushes him and knocks him out. In the dark, Baba overpowers Jirlamerel and blinds him, forcing him to live without sight. Elsewhere, Magra tells the soldiers of Tamakti's death and announces that she and Queen Kane will share command. She orders the army to march toward the lavender fields to search for her family at Jirlamerel's compound. The troops obey and begin the long march. Baba and Kofan escape and meet Paris outside, ready to search for Hanua. At the same time, Magra and Queen Kane lead their forces forward, setting fire to the building and leaving Tamakti's body to burn. After traveling some distance, Baba's group reaches a barren land marked by towering structures built from giant bones, known as the God's Bone Towers. Baba is certain that Hanua has been taken there. Season 1 ends. So the moral of the story is if your family tree is full of secrets and everyone wants to kidnap, blind, or betray you, always bring extra snacks, trust your gut more than your relatives, and never underestimate a guy with good hearing and a big knife.